Well, and hello, everybody. Here I am. Scotty be along in just a few minutes here. We're going to get everything up and rolling. Scotty is out in lovely, where are they? Sacramento, California, I guess, is where they are right now. So, again, as soon as he's able to join, he will join and we'll react to the shocking news of the day. Shocking news that I don't think, you know, look, if you listen to this podcast, you know it's been stated in a lot of ways that basically we knew that things weren't all kumbaya with the Denver Nuggets. We knew that there was some disconnect. Scotty's talked pretty much about it, and yet uh, I don't think any of us thought it would happen in season like this. So, a day of fan reaction, a day of what's next. There's a report lately we just got from Woody Page where he said that, they went to, according to Woody Page, for those that have asked, because I know this has been a huge question on the text line, something we've been asked a bunch about. But basically Woody Page is saying they went to Jokic, he signed off on it. Everybody felt like Malone's message has been staled. So I know there's a lot of stuff going around as far as we're going to add the big man in right now. Scotty, I just got going here a second ago. Didn't want to be late for anybody because I know people have been looking forward to this. Woody Page, I'm going to read you what Woody Page said on Around the Horn today, okay?
You
As
betcha.
we say again.
I said, you betcha.
Okay, again, the tweet from Woody Page, and one day I'll learn how to transfer it to our main platform and put it out there. But on Around the Horn, Woody Page said, I think they went based on what I've been told to Jokic, and he signed off on the move to fire Malone. We're talking about his message, Malone's, had become stale with the players, says Woody Page. So there you go. Now, look, here's the deal. I'm sure Nicole had some idea. I don't think any player wants to be the guy, I'm sure this is tough for everybody, right? I'm sure this is not an easy day. Moves have to be made. This is professional sports. Things have to be done. And at the same time, you went and won a championship together. That's got to be special, right, Scotty? I
Well,
saw you guys doing a show on altitude. Like, what's the mood?
um, well, listen. After you get over the shock and everything else that happened earlier, um, then you settle back and you obviously ask questions. I've talked to a number of people, a lot of people, some that may know, some that just speculate. I think Woody is a little presumptive sounding. Do I think Nikola Jokic was advised? Do I think Nikola Jokic was good? Is the guy that said yes or no? I don't think. I don't think that was the situation at all. I think it was here's what we're going to do. Blah blah blah. He probably said, "Listen, you got to do what you got to do." I think he's probably been a little more frustrated. Listen, he's gone. They're 3-7 in the last 10. Lost 4 in a row, and they're 11-13 since the All Star break. Um, Something was wrong, something was off. So Josh Kroenke said in an interview, I don't know if you got to watch it, it was just on
Oh,
altitude.
we played it every hour.
Yeah. Well, basically said that they'd come to the decision they were going to do this at the end of the year anyway.
Right.
And our old friend Sandy Clough, when I used to do a radio show with me, said, what you're going to have to do inevitably, you might as well do immediately. And I think with this 4-game losing streak, um, and I talked to somebody on the East Coast actually after all this happened, who was in Denver, said that boy, it just didn't feel like there was any energy from your team in that game against the Pacers. It just emotional energy. I think they played hard. I think they had a chance to win. Listen, they had a chance to win the Minnesota game. They had a chance to win the Golden State game. They had a chance to win the Indiana Pacers game, and they didn't do it. If they can close any of those 3 games out, with Jamal Murray, I think they probably win all 3 of those. And then this is all a moot point. We wouldn't even be having this discussion. But the reality is Jamal Murray is hurt. Jamal Murray is the heart and soul of this team. And really, if there's any spark left in this season and or in the postseason, it'll be because Jamal Murray comes back and is able to play. Um, so yeah, I mean, I do believe Josh, and this is, like I said, I've had some conversations. I think Josh thinks that there's something still in this team. Listen, this is the team, Andy. You and I, people can go back and look at a handful of podcasts back. They went in. They played that 2-game set in Oklahoma City. Got beat, hung in there for most of the game. Didn't pull it out. Oklahoma City walked away with it. Come back 2 nights later, and they beat the snot out of Oklahoma City. That's the Denver Nuggets. That's the high water mark. Going into Oklahoma City and beating a team that was full man, that was had played that first game in particular like a postseason game, and is currently running away with the Western Conference. And they went in there and beat the snot out of them. To where you had the coach playing games. Remember, that was a series where the coach was bringing the guy up with the checking in but not checking in, and what all that stuff they were doing just so Joker couldn't play with their heads. That's the high water mark. But they had Jamal Murray in that game. He's the absolute key for this season. Not to put too much pressure on him, but he's the absolute key. And listen, they played 15, 16 games this year without him, and that hurts. So yeah, I went from pretty sad, but I take him for his word. I think he honestly thinks his team could have a spark, and if that spark means winning 2 of the last 3, 3 of the last 3. It's not going to be easy. Sacramento tomorrow is trying to stay in the playoff picture. Memphis on Friday is trying to play in the playoff picture. You don't know what to expect in Houston in game 82 because Houston's going to clinch. In fact, I think already have clinched number 2. They may not play anybody. Who knows? But it is the last game of the year. So listen, if they were in the mind that they were going to do it at the end of in the summer, why not now? I mean, I other than tradition says, and most teams wait, why? If you're going to do it, you probably had a good chance of losing David Adelman at the end of the year anyway, because he's going to be a head coach sometime. Guess what you got? You got a chance in a tough situation. Not many coaches who take over in a situation like this. This is a tough situation. That you can see what this guy's made of now. This is like a rolling interview, if you will, for the spot. He's the son of a head coach. His dad's in the Hall of Fame for coaching. He'll be prepared. He's got a different demeanor than Coach Malone. The systems may look very similar. In fact, he put in most of this offense, and I was told today that this offense looks the way it looks. And it's been a top 3 offense since he's been here. The offense should stay the same. I don't know if they've got the personnel to be any good defensively. I think, and you and I have talked about this, you lose KCP, Bruce Brown, and Aaron Gordon's not healthy. Aaron Gordon's, half of what he was when they won the championship just because of that injury. So you've lost 3 guys, defensive guys, that were wrecking havoc for you when you won a championship. You don't have those guys. So, I've been joking for years. You may have to outscore teams 120 to 1 whatever. That may be the case. That I mean, if they have a run on them, they may have to average 128, in the playoffs to see what they can do. No one's ever done anything like that. It may not work, but that may be your only hope. So,
well, look, I'll say this.
I'm actually excited. I was bummed a little bit this morning. I like Michael Malone. I like Calvin Booth. They're both good guys. I've known Michael Malone since he was 19. I've had 2 or 3 really good conversations with Calvin this year throughout the season. I have respect for both guys. But, Al Davis said years ago, I remember seeing him on an NFL Films thing, that the 10-year mark for coaches is when he replaces them, because he said the voices get stale, and maybe it was just that time that Malone's voice was a little stale.
I'll say this. Because I got a number of things to bounce off you. Let's start here. Why the move right now? Like you said, and I give our buddy Rob Trujillo credit. You know what you did, if nothing else? let's say this doesn't give you any bump. This doesn't make anything feel any, but let's just say none of the good things you hope for that could happen do happen.
Right.
Well, you got to start on getting a look at the coaching candidates. You got to start on seeing your GM candidates, which you and I both knew. The Calvin Booth thing has been projected since about, December, that he probably wasn't going to be back. And the longer the season went along, the more we figured this guy's probably not coming back. So now you can go do your coach, your GM interviews. There's a guy from Forbes that put out there. They're going to want to talk to Bob Myers of Golden State, the former Golden State GM guy.
And by the way, how long ago did I tell you that name?
Well, yeah, but quite a bit ago. But it's out there from Forbes that they'd like to go talk to him. And now you can do it. And now it's not unethical. And now you're not going behind anybody's back or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I would say this. Let's say you get the little, and it's pro sports, maybe I don't know, but let's say you get the little new coach bump or the, whatever you want to call it, bump. Well, you get a bump for 3 games, and guess what you do? You get out of the play-in situation. You get a week to take a breath and catch your mental, get refocused, whatever. And then maybe with Adelman, you said it. It's not like you can go install some new system, although maybe they can work on a couple defensive rotations you've talked a bit about and maybe come up with a new way to scheme that. But at the end of the day, maybe this allows you to, like I said, avoid the play-in, and then maybe we'll get something we don't expect come the playoffs, Scotty.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, and that's what you got to hope for, as disappointing as these last, month and a half has been. But and it's really hit me over the last few hours. Everybody, and I can show you my phone. I've probably got 75 messages. Why now? Why now? Why now? But in the same, for every yin, there's a yang. Why not?
Yeah, look, the vibe was bad. We said it on the podcast last time we got together. You and I have talked about it in conversations. I've said it on the air. Okay? I've been around enough professional sports to know when a team is enjoying being with each other and when they aren't. Now, does it always matter? No, it doesn't always matter. Not every championship team is best friends. Not everybody, but I've been around, like, I'll go 2005 Broncos. Dude, that team couldn't wait to play with each other. The 2015 Broncos defense, now the offense was stressed. That defense loved getting out there on Sunday and being together. And quite honestly, the 2023 Denver Nuggets, the 2022 Colorado Avalanche, dude, the Avs would take 5 days off in their last Cup season, and you could just feel like breaking through the wall, like bulls out of the corral in the running of the Bulls to get back out on the ice. They'd spank teams 7-0 after that sometimes. The Nuggets, there was a joy in them playing basketball we could all feel. The joy has been gone for at least 18 months. At least 18 months.
Yep.
So why continue to exist in it?
666 days, somebody figured out, sign of the devil, since they won a championship. So, listen, Michael Malone, I hope he's remembered well, because I think he was great. His name will be up in the rafters. You got Doug Mose up there, so you got to put Malone's up there someday. He was fantastic, and he coached Nikola Jokic since his rookie year. Jamal Murray since his rookie year. Probably got a bum deal, but I've told the story a handful of times a day. I remember sitting in my head coach's office in Arkansas as I was about ready to get ready for the draft, and he goes, "Scott, what do you want to do for a living?" I said, "Well, I'd like to play in the league for a little bit, and then I'd like to become a coach." He goes, "Oh, Scott," I can still hear how he says my name. "Oh, Scott, you don't want to be a coach. There's 2 kinds: those that have been fired, and those that are going to be fired." And that's the profession. That's why they're compensated as well as they are, in the college and pro level. So I feel bad. It's never good to be said, "Hey, you didn't get the job done. You feel like the job's incomplete." But this is probably good for Malone. He won't see it for a while, but this will end up being okay for him. And listen, I think there's a lot of respect for Calvin also. So I'm sure he'll be around somewhere else in the next year too. So why now? Why not now? If you're going to make that change, and I thought that was the biggest revelation in that interview with Vic that Josh Kroenke did, was we'd come to the decision this is what we were going to do, in the off season. Well, then why not now? I mean, you're basically saying this looks like trash. This is a turd. Why not get the turd out of the bowl for a little bit and see if you can clean it up? And Who knows? I mean, this team is good enough. You and I have talked about this. This starting five when healthy. And Jamal's the biggest key to it. I think Aaron Gordon's a big key to it. But when they're healthy, their starting five can play anybody in the league. I'm not even worried about that. Just look at the plus minuses of the starting five versus when everybody else comes in. So what more can they change? I don't know. Other than maybe guys get different voice in your ear, less it's like your kids. I had my son come home one time. He was like a freshman or something like that. He's sophomore. He's been on a sophomore basketball team. And he goes, Dad, let me show you this new move the coach showed me. And he did this move, a little up and under, fake step under, every footwork big man move that you learned from day one, right? I go, son, I said, I've been showing you that move since you were 9 years old. He said, yeah, but coach showed me this one. I said, yeah, but coach is a math teacher, and I played 11 years in the NBA. But that was a different voice. He took to it with a different voice, So sometimes I think it works. Listen, remember when they fired Clint Hurdle, Jim Tracy took over. They went on the big run. I think that was the Rocktober year. End up going crazy at the end of the year and end up getting all the way to the World Series, right?
I know. That was 2009, but look, your point's valid. They played one of the best seasons of Rockies baseball all throughout the summer. That was the year where the closer blew it against the Phillies. Hurdle took him that's what's crazy. Hurdle took him to a championship. He gets dumped. Yeah. You realize all the championship coaches in this town basically got fired one way or another.
Well,
Kubiak wasn't fired, but you and I know there was coaching staff disagreements that led to him stepping aside. Shanahan got fired. Bednar's the only one still going. He ain't been fired, but Bob Hartley got fired. Why can't I remember Mark? The first Mark Crawford got fired.
The thing about Hartley and Crawford, even Shanahan could be that way. Their voices got hard.
Well, and I think your head gets a little hard, not to be mean to Michael Malone, but there might have been some stuff that you would have listened to the suggestions from the outside where maybe you weren't right now. God knows that happened with Shanahan. He got rid of anybody that wanted to oppose him in that building. You and I know that.
Yeah, and listen, after there for a decade, I think Al Davis had something. I think there's something about that. I know Red Auerbach said, "Oh, I wanted to be home with my family." Yeah, you did. Well, then you became GM and you were gone just as much, right? Family lived in another city, state than Boston. Listen, it is what it is. Now we get to see. Now we get to see starting tomorrow. Did it light a fire under anybody's asses? You've talked about 1,000 times. Just show me the grit. Just show me the heart. There wasn't a sense of urgency. NBA players, and I can just go back now, back when I played. You can play hard without playing urgent. And when you play hard, you're still run up and down. You're not letting guys beat you down the floor. You're not walking up and down. You're not paddling around, whatever. You run up and down. You're playing hard. You're not letting a guy just score. You're doing whatever you can to get there. That's fine. But when you play with a sense of urgency, mistakes hurt you. Mistakes added a little bit more. Oh, come on now, and that grunt. When you're not playing with urgency, it's like there's a difference between and you know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, yeah, Scotty, Nate and I talked about a little bit about it today. You know what's been so crazy? This is the team that at home up until really the last year, they always made a run at home. They always are good for the fourth quarter. They rarely made the mistake that killed themselves, right?
Right.
And yet that's what I told Nate. Sloppy and inconsistent. That's how I define this year. Sloppy and inconsistent, man. And way too much throwing the ball to God knows who, turning the ball over at stupid times. Too much at getting players that you're apparently not going to use. Again, it killed me. I'm not saying Thomas Bryant has become some sort of badass for Indiana, but there's just something rough about the other night of watching yet another dude you traded for that could never see the floor for whatever reason come back and be
Well,
a problem for you. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that plays into the conversations a lot of people on social media are having. And I read a couple of articles on Bleacher Report today of the disconnect between Calvin Booth and the head coach. I think there was probably a lot more truth to that than you'll probably hear from the organization. But with as many people that have talked about it today, the what's the old saying? Where there's smoke, there's fire, and it just depends how big that fire really is. But there's been a lot of smoke between those two's relationship, and I think that might have been one of the final decisions. Help make the final decision.
Meanwhile, the Avs just gave up another goal to go down 2-0. I'm getting a little tired of this crap too, frankly.
Well, they ain't playing for nothing.
Yeah, that's fine. Bullshit power plays where you don't shoot the puck and every analyst says you're getting too pretty. Getting a little tired of hearing it, but whatever. It's fine. McKinnon's out there. McCarr's out there. So whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Saying they're overpassing?
Yeah, again. And you know what it led to? A breakaway shorthanded goal. Nothing like getting a power play where they score. But yeah, I know. Hey, nothing matters. Nothing matters. Well, I got news for you. I've been hearing that nothing matters with the Nuggets, and all of a sudden today it mattered. So I hope we don't revisit the same damn story again. So, but whatever. Whatever. I hate Vegas. I hate Vegas. I don't think I've enjoyed my Denver sports life. You want to change topic for yourself for a second? We'll get back. I've not enjoyed my Denver sports life in easily 3 weeks. Nothing is easy. Nothing is going. The Mammoth are choking shit away. Quite honestly, that's pissing me off. You got the Avs can't beat the Blues all of a sudden. The frickin' Blues. I'm sick of seeing Jordan Bennington shut this team down. And the Nuggets have not been enjoyable watch. I told Nate a month ago. Nate got all over me. Hey, why aren't you enjoying this team? We just got to enjoy this team. And I told him this is not enjoyable. This is not enjoyable. You know why? Because once upon a time, I felt like this Nuggets team had the right stuff where you knew it's what I just said to you. You knew they'd come back, or you knew they'd make a run, or you knew if they got out to a lead, they'd be okay. Scotty, sadly, the other night when the Pacers got up 7, and I think you guys even hinted at it on the broadcast, I go, you know what? You didn't flat out say it, but I thought to myself, they ain't coming back from 7 down. And Marlo said the Nuggets are in trouble here. And there's about 4 minutes left. 7 points, and you're going to say the Nuggets are in trouble here? That's not when the last 3 years have been.
No. Well, no, but maybe since last postseason it's been that way.
Well, you're right, because again, someone got in your head. And look, I'll finally say it. I'll say it, and I think I've said it to you and said it on the podcast. I respect that Minnesota built a team to beat the Nuggets, but sooner or damn later, you've had enough time to counterpunch that crap, and you didn't. You didn't. How is it a year later? How is it after they knocked you out of the playoffs on your own home floor, you still had no counterpunch for that team? None.
Well, they built a team with some big, long, athletic wings, and Denver doesn't have a lot of big, long, athletic wings.
Well, all right. So, there's got to be a bit of a roster makeover, and there's going to be plenty of time to talk about that. How long do you think before you can correct this? Or because again, I won't be surprised if you tell me it's not as far as we think, because I know you do like this roster. You don't mind this roster, but how long do you think before you can get this back to where you want it to be?
Here's the worst problem. And I'm not sure, and I know Nichushkin's absence with the Avs really affected that team the last 2 years. But there was a feeling even, when they made that cup run, they did a whole lot of changing and moved guys around and brought in pieces, some gritty pieces they needed, and a good defense player, and it helped them. Denver really hasn't done anything to add to this roster, which is probably why Calvin's gone. But they really haven't done anything to add to this roster. Now, the NBA, which kills with the NBA, he's only got 2 rounds. The drafts the last couple of years have been weak after about 14, after about the top 10 to 14 players. And you're always drafting at 23, 25, 27, whatever it is. You know, you're like you're kind of like the Broncos are this year. You're in that 20th position to draft, and there's only 18 first round grades.
Right? Which is exactly what Leggy said to me today. It's like you were sitting at lunch, and he goes, "I might even have too many."
Well, so Denver picked 24 last year, and there was probably, if you graded them like NFL players graded them, there was probably 14, maybe 16 first round grades.
Right.
And so now you do that for a couple of years, you get a little top heavy, and then all of a sudden, so now you're getting no help or support from anything from the bench. And oh, by the way, your stars, which when they play together, I still think the starting unit's 12-9, which isn't a great record. But that means they've only played 21 of 79 games together.
No, I hear you. And look, again, what could be different if Deron Holmes had played? You and I brought up Deron Holmes. Everyone seems to forget that could have been another athletic big that could have helped with the rebounding, maybe help with some of the scoring, maybe would have given Joker another dunker. Look, how big could Deron Holmes have been trying to help get through this Aaron Gordon injury thing, right? Maybe then you're letting Aaron Gordon actually take some proper rest and not having to rush him back. Maybe if a surgery gets done after the year, maybe he would have just done something. Who knows, man? Who knows?
Deron Holmes is just another Zeke Notches.
Yeah, it could be. I hope not. But could be. Look, dude, this is interesting. Yahoo had it here. I'll get the tweet. I'll read you some of the tweets, and I just thought it was interesting. But this comes from Yahoo Sports, and we had read this on the air earlier. It's HP basketball from a thing called NBA Central. Nuggets ownership was reportedly against trading Michael Porter Jr. per HP basketball, which stands for hardwood paroxysm. I don't know. Trading Michael Porter Jr. was the most obvious path.
That's a guy that's and I just forgot his name all of a sudden, but he's at the Nuggets games all the time.
Well, bottom line was they said the offers were, quote, soft or cold for Porter. So that's my problem, Scott. I do think even if you decide you'll open up the roster for trading, whether that's Jamal, Porter, Gordon, Brown, whoever, I mean, you got to have people that want to take stuff in return. And we know the two big contracts that would get you the most fluidity would be Jamal and Michael Porter Jr. But, I mean, look, if Jamal's right, you don't want to trade him, right? Like, to me, it's the ultimate conundrum. If either of those guys can play like you want, then you don't want them gone anyway. And you only want them gone right now because they're not playing, or in the fantasy GMs, I'll say, are the one we're talking about it because you want the money to go do something else, but nobody's going to give you a lot for it if they don't start playing better.
Well, listen, Michael Porter got paid because he's one of the best shooters in the league. But when the best shooters in the league, in too many times since the All-Star break, is having one of nines, 2 of 8s, what do you have? 2 of 11 against Washington. When you're having games like that, I mean, that kills you because the one thing, because he's not good, he's not a defensive stopper. That is just what that is. But when his shooting fails you, now you got to replace it. Who's the next shooter on this team?
Nobody.
Okay, Paul Murray's probably the next shooter. Okay, so he's playing your point guard. He's fine. But now Jamal's out. Now one of your shooters is completely out. One of your shooters is going through kind of a. And be honest with you, I think it's fair to say since the All-Star break, Michael Porter has been pretty much on a 3-point slump. He's had 1 or 2 games, okay. So now you're too bad. Who's next?
Was supposed to be Strother, but he's been out, and when he was in, he won hit threes.
He was out 36 days or something like that. And he's inconsistent, but I mean, probably, but are you going to count on him?
No, not right now. Strother? No. You tell me. I mean, have we seen anything to say that we can?
This league has gotten longer in shooting. Denver shoots a good high efficiency on 3-pointers, but they're down. I think they're in the top 5 in makes and the bottom 3 in attempts. And you look at the teams that are leading the league: Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Houston, Boston. Those teams that are having rolled seasons again. They're all shooting at 40 plus times a game.
Yeah, and the Nuggets again, they want to get in the paint, right? You guys highlighted it the other night. They were killing Indiana in the paint, but guess what? Indiana's hitting threes and you're not. And so it doesn't matter because you can't defend the three and you don't rebound well. So even when they're missing the threes, they're getting second and third opportunities because nobody rebounds. So I don't know, Scotty. It sucks that we got here this way. I'm with you. You know, I hope everybody will remember this is the championship coach. I feel like guys from the championship teams always keep a special place in your heart. And look, this is not special. May not even be the word because I will tell you that a lot of us, and there's a ton of comments on YouTube. We're seeing it all. You guys are moving too fast for me to even process it, but we appreciate it. We appreciate you watching. We hope you've subscribed to the channel and all that good stuff. But, you know, I never thought we'd see an NBA title in Denver. I just never did. I just never thought that would be the league we'd be the champions of. I didn't feel like players wanted to come here via free agency. I didn't feel like the league really wanted it to happen because we're not a major market. So I felt like even when we get stars, I still feel like times, even though we got stars, we don't get calls that some of the big market stars get. And so I don't care, you know, this isn't the ending anybody wanted, including Malone and Boot themselves. But at the end of the day, they did something I never thought possible, and I will never, ever forget that, ever.
Yeah, so. And well said. But then think about this. You didn't think they were ever going to win one, right?
Yeah.
Now, once you do win one, guess what everybody wants?
Well, because Scotty, and now I'll bring in another point that, you know, I feel like you could talk about because you got to know him and you saw the end of the run. And I brought it up when Vic Lombardi joined our show today. Here's the reality. You know, what I am thankful for with the Cronkies, and I know everybody says the company line. No, I'm dead serious about this, and I'll tell you why. I grew up in Denver. My childhood was spent watching John Elway. And as a child, you think you're going to get another one of those. We'll find another one. 5 years, we'll figure out it. We've never got another one. Now, you got something close in Peyton Manning. They weren't the same type of dude. And Peyton didn't get here for it to be anywhere near as long enough as what John was. It was special, special. And when I look back, my heart hurts a little bit that John did not get a chance to win one of those ones, the early ones that he went to, that frankly the team had no business going to. As a guy that's now played in sports and seen complete teams, and really even go back to the Super Bowl teams he finally played on, John Elway was dragging a bunch of dudes. I loved them, so they were some of my guys, but they weren't Super Bowl caliber teams. He got them there anyway. Joker has basically done the same thing as we now see with everybody. Joker has kept you in the second and third seed. You ain't got no business being in the second and third seed this year. You just don't.
No.
And it's finally showing up because he's too hurt and Superman's back can't take it anymore. The hill's gotten a little too big for him. And I don't want to see Joker. You're right. I'm grateful for one, but Joker, you got to get one. You got to at least get one more with this guy because this dude ain't coming around again. We ain't finding another one of him. We just aren't.
Yeah, I talked to somebody today that's in an NBA front office, and he goes, you know what, it hurts you guys, and no one expects Denver to ever, just like you said, win a championship. He said, but if you guys are being real honest, Joker put that team on his back and carried him to the playoffs. I mean, remember some of those games he had against the Lakers, and even one of the games they lost a 4-point game in Phoenix. He had a 50-point game in that one. Remember that? And he's doing that now.
I know.
I mean, if I'm an owner, if I'm being real honest, and I'm looking at how Joker's playing right now, and I'm going, and we've lost 4 straight. I mean, just go pop up, look up on your phone or whatever, what he scored in the last 6 games. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like 60-40. You know, it's like 130 points or something, isn't it?
He's
140.
Right now, he's averaging 32, 13, and 10 on the season.
And he's not going to be MVP
as a 7-foot center. And what the, you know what, I don't, and this ain't fair, but from everything I'm hearing, this put the nail on the MVP as far as not winning it because,
you
know, they say, see, look, they got all that trouble. Yeah. If Joker went on this team right now, you'd be down, your record would be what Utah. You'd be at 17, 18 wins, maybe.
To answer your question, 61 points, 33 points, 41 points. That's 13 assists, 9 assists, 10 assists, 15, 12, and 10 rebounds.
That's the last 3 games, right?
That's Indiana, Golden State, Minnesota. Guess what those are? 3 playoff teams.
And he yeah, 61.
He's not even doing it against the scrubs. He's doing it against playoff teams.
61, 33, and 41.
Yeah. Yeah. 33 all of a sudden. 33. But look, this also goes to show, unfortunately, the last 3 games has also gone to show, and here come the Avs just knocking the puck around, wasting time on a power play again. 2-0 is the score. Between the Pipes follows this fine broadcast on YouTube. When you let Joker do the scoring, Joker is a creator. Joker needs somebody else willing to get in there, score some points, not screw this thing up. And it's not happening right now. And look, unfortunately, these last 3 games with these gaudy scoring numbers, it goes to what everybody says. We're going to let everybody else beat us, not Joker. And look what happens. Because when he's scoring and no one's helping, this is what it looks like. And you don't win, and it sucks.
But think about this. He had 41 the other night. They lose, and he still had 13 assists.
I know. Yeah.
So what else is everybody? I mean, that's like 70 points he's accounted for. Well, but listen, if you look also, I think Hanslick on the show we did today pointed out their bench scoring is 28th in the league. There's 30 teams. And usually 29 and 30 are probably, 29 and 30 are probably
lottery teams.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, Scotty. Oh, my God.
You know what? And seriously, and I hate saying this, but that right there is why you don't renew a contract for your general manager. Now, there's probably a lot of blame. Last year, if they'd have played some of the younger guys, if Zeke Naji would have played more, would he be more rounded and ready to play? If Jalen Pickett, is getting a little time now, would have played more last year, would he be rounded in a little bit better? I don't know. Problem is that they did what they did. It's over. Malone's not going to walk out on the court tomorrow, and neither is Calvin Booth. And as I said earlier, I like both those guys. But I'm excited because you know what? This is like a reset. It's awful late in the season to reset. And now we get to see. And I'll tell you right now, people may get mad at me for saying this. The guys who don't show up these last 3 games, you don't need on this team.
I'm with you.
If you got guys aren't just coming out of these next 3 games scraped, bloody, and bruised, then you ain't got the right guys anyway. And now we got to bring this up just because I think it's fair. And I don't know the answer 100%. But they'll look at what, the acquisition of Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Is it turned out into a good or a bad decision?
I don't know, Scotty, because at times I'm not going to act like there hasn't been fun in the Russ experience during the year at times. There has been. But the last month, I think you've played him too much. I think it's tough, man. Look, it's tough. I think you like this. I talked to our boy Jeb Putz here today, right? Because he called me, still a Nuggets fan. What is going on? I can't believe this. So he was asking me about Russ. And I said, well, Jeb, do you remember your teammate Darius Watts? And he goes, oh, yeah. I go, well, that's Russ. Darius Watts, for those that can't remember, was a shifty receiver that could get open. He could shake any corner's coverage. He also had a claw hand he couldn't open right, and he couldn't catch most of the passes thrown to him. That, to me, is Russ. Russ is the ultimate defender that's going to cut the pass off. He's going to get a steal. But then you need him to get the ball the hell out of his hand as soon as he's got it, and it just doesn't work that way in basketball. So I give him credit, like that against the Wolves. You made the steal. That was a great steal. That was good instinct. That was a good break on the ball. But then you got out in the open floor, and I know we talked about dribbling it out. Bro, I'm not sure you'd have made both free throws anyway. And then you went and clanked the layup.
Yeah, so go make the layup.
It's just unreal.
I honestly think if he makes that layup, they win that game.
Yeah, and this is all different. And then you know what? Maybe someone don't feel so tired, and maybe you get San Antonio too. And maybe you're not feeling so crappy about yourself going into Golden State. I don't know.
Well, it'll be interesting because you got a hungry team in Sacramento. So
yeah, but this needs if you don't show desperate here, then this team's truly broken. Yeah. You're playing for a week off now, these next 3 games. Period.
Good point. If not, you're playing in the play-in tournament.
Avs finally got a goal and they had to review it 1,000 times so it's 2-1. Yeah, you don't. What's that?
Who scored it?
Nichushkin shot it. The goalie was on his back, reached up and grabbed it, but grabbed it over the goal line, so it was in. I'll ask you. What do you think was because look, Westbrook, and this is the problem with everything the last couple years, right, Scotty? In my mind, I'm not want to speak for you. And we got so many people watching, I don't almost want to get off. We appreciate there's a ton of you watching. Thank you. Everybody that was supposed to come in and play a role has somehow been a bigger deal. You know what you taught me long ago? I'm going to go back to a lesson you taught me, and then you can maybe comment how it applies right now. Remember when Earl Boykins became a big thing? Earl Boykins was a total badass coming off the bench. He was an energy injector that, frankly, I don't even think they have right now with Bruce Brown gone and Christian Brown having to move. Christian Brown used to be your energy plug, your Vinnie Johnson, if you will, off the different kind, but, Vinnie Johnson was just an instant score. That's why they called him the microwave. But Christian would come in, everybody maybe get the energy level up, the crowd would get into it. It just was like an instant jolt of energy. The old jumper cables on the battery or whatever. Earl Boykins had a little of that going on. Well, guess what? Then he became a starter. And then because he was playing more minutes, he wasn't quite that jolt of energy. And you lost him coming. You used to tell me anytime a bench guy has to move up and take on a different role, it weakens your bench. It weakens the whole process. Well, I don't think Russ was ever meant to come in here and be a 30. He was, you and I know. He was supposed to be a 15 to 20 minute a game guy. That's why you only paid him $3 million. He was not meant to have this big a role, and somehow here we are. So I don't think it was necessarily a mistake. You've screwed up too many other things where now you're relying on a guy you shouldn't be relying on this heavily.
And part of it, we got to be honest, part of it's injuries. Russ was fine, and I thought he was a big asset to the team when he was at 18 to 20 minutes a game.
Exactly.
100%. That game against Minnesota, he missed that layup. He played 41 minutes. He's 37 years old.
Dude, right? Still darted down the court quicker than anybody.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's a specimen. But still, that's 41 minutes on a guy you were hoping. Go back to Reggie Jackson last year. Reggie Jackson would have been great as the backup point guard last year. Again, Murray gets hurt, misses 20 games, and all of a sudden Reggie Jackson going from playing 17 minutes a game to having to play 36. And by the All-Star break after, he was gone. He had nothing in his legs. His legs were dead. And he even told Chris Marlowe that one time riding up on an elevator. So I think the Russ experiment was fine when the roles were, everything was fine, and he got to play his role just like you said, and he's playing that bench guy. Now also at his talent level and his speed and experience, now you're playing him against backup guards. He's killing people. Now he's starting every day, and now he's playing 30-some minutes, or he's not starting every day, but he's playing so many minutes, heavy minutes against starters and everything else. I think he became less effective as the season went on. But again, I think you tie that back into the injury of Aaron Gordon, because remember, when Aaron Gordon was out a bunch of games, he started Russ and moved Christian Brown to 3. When Jamal was hurt for a lot of games, you started him for Russ or for Jamal. And I think he's averaging almost 29 minutes a game, and you want that. You're playing him about a quarter of the game more than I think you needed him and wanted him to be. And I think that is, and he would never say that, but I would argue that. I think, listen, Father Time ain't ever lost. He's been slowed down, thanks to chemistry. LeBron's proven that point. He's chasing it and keeping it away as long as he can. But Father Time never loses. He eventually catches you. And I think playing a guy, 28, 29 minutes a game versus 18, that becomes a big difference, especially over the course of the season. And we saw that in Reggie. They broke Reggie last year.
Yeah.
And remember, he was fine at the beginning of the year when he got to start. Instead of starting for 3 or 4 games, he ended up starting for like 25. And that just, I think, just wore him out. So, I don't think the experiment was bad. I know he's going to catch a lot of heat. I already saw some memes already. Well, there's another one he's gotten, and so on and so forth. But I think, and again, it's excuse. But Jamal being out as much as he has, Aaron Gordon, I think now has missed 33 games, something like that. I mean, he's missed basically, and that's out for 6 or 7, in for 1, in for 2, out for 3. I mean, he's missed nearly. I mean, he won't be close, but he'll miss by the end of it's all said and done 40+% of the season.
Yeah, man, it's look, Natalia's getting all fired up, so we'll let her. She's all over Murray. When is he not out? He's missed a lot, Natalia. There's no doubt. You know, uh,
Well, Natalia, well, I don't know. That's a good question.
a lot of people, and Scott's been one of them. Sam's been one of them. We've had guys. You got so many comments I can't keep up with them. There's Sam. Sam basically said, getting extended after last season was a mistake. Let's hope that's not the case, Sam. But look, I'd said, Scotty, I feel like you got to do business different in the NBA, and that's another reason why Booth is out. I know, I brought this up to Nate again today, and I know everybody's like, well, you don't want to get your top scorers upset. I do think NBA players might have to start learning you don't get extended a year out anymore now, man. You know what? I may have to make you go through your contract year. I may need to see how you got to do it. And if 200 million is still an insult to you after that, then I don't know. Sorry. You know what I mean? Sorry. But you can't afford to do what's happened anymore in the NBA with all these aprons. And again, it's not just the aprons. I want to make clear, it's not because I keep hearing people say, well, the team got too cheap. The team has 4 max contracts. The problem ain't them wanting to spend money. They're not allowed to spend money by NBA rules. They're not allowed to make trades because of when you hit the other aprons, getting more people becomes restricted because they're trying to kill the super teams. That's basically what the NBA decided to do. And it sucks because they decided they'd do it right as the Nuggets got their super team together.
Yeah, that was drafted.
Yeah. One trade, drafted. The only free agent was Bruce Brown, who, by the way, the year he signed, the reason why he was on such a great deal, nobody was beating down his door. You know what I mean? He wasn't the LeBron James of his class. So it all just kind of sucks. And yeah, I agree with people. Yeah, I wish you would have waited to extend Murray. We all do now. Well, but it is what it is.
Looked like the Brewers took care of the Rockies today.
Oh, yeah. We had Sean Tawarth always likes to jump in, and I like Sean because he's always listening to stuff. I appreciate the loyalty, but he always comes in with a go Rocks. What, go out of town? How about the Rocks, by the way? Hey, we're going to bring up Zach Veen, the guy you all wanted to see. Balloon's fired. What? Oh, wait. Haven't heard one damn thing about Zach Veen getting a start tonight, have you? Thank God they lost 7-1. Rockies baseball. It's fantastic.
Well, here's the thing with Malone. Here's the 2 things that kill franchises that you hope get on little rolls. One is if you get top heavy on your payroll, and 2, if you allow your team to get too old. Those 2 things are killers for teams. The Celtics, you can go back to the Birds era, and if you watch that Celtic City, Bird and McHale basically just finally wore out, got too old, got too injured, and they really didn't have any. And then obviously Lenny Bias dying and Reggie Lewis ended up dying doesn't help, as far as bringing in younger guys in. But it's different, man. There's more teams in the league now. The drafts are thinner. Everybody talks about, Draymond Green talks about all these athletes, old timers don't understand how great athletes are. Yeah, then why is it taking so long for these young guys in the league to be anything? Because they just got to play. That's why.
Well, because they're playing AAU ball, and
we
don't need to go on an old man rant. By the way, I do want to say, Len Bias, I did not know how good I did watch some of that Celtic thing where they went in on Len Bias and all. I had no idea that guy was that good. I had no clue. You know what? I take it back. It was a 30 for 30 on Len Bias. No clue how good that kid was.
2 days after he drafted. 2 days, I believe it was 2 days after the draft.
Yeah, because it was part of the party. He went back to go see his boys. Where did he come from? NC State or whatever?
Maryland.
Maryland. He went back to see his boys in Maryland. They decided to have a party to celebrate, and that was that. So, anyway.
Anyway, so the going back to the Murray thing, and the last thing I'll say on this, you're kind of stuck. He's a good enough player, and I said when we started this, he's the heart and soul of this team. When he's right, Denver, even now, replacing teams. If Murray were to boom magically come back healthy and be right for the next 25 games, they can compete and go deep in the playoffs. If he ain't right, and it seems to me when he's mentally just not in the game, he ain't healthy. Now here's the bad thing: you paid him. He may never be healthy the rest of his career. That just may be that body and that type of injury, and that may never. You may have to fight to get him healthy the rest of his career. Who knows? And so now you're stuck with that, whatever that contract is, trying to get as much out of him as you can. Now, if you wait, that's fine. My old school self is more on the let's wait before you pass this out. And if he's playing great, he may just go, I ain't re-signing. Now you lose him like Bernie Bickerstaff did. You lose to Dikembe Mutombo for nothing, who ends up becoming a Hall of Fame center. So you can't lose him for nothing. Now, if he's playing so good that he's able to, at $200 and some million, then that means the market's probably going to be available to trade him. So if he plays bad, you can get him on the cheap. If he plays great, you either can sign him and he's going to get paid anyway, but you may have messed with the relationship. Who knows? Or if he says, I ain't signing back here, he's probably going to have a value to get traded now. But then you lose a really good player. So it's why they pay front offices the money, because they got to make decisions like that. They took the gamble, let's pay him. And you know what? Injury-wise, it's been a tough year. But when he's played,
yeah,
I mean,
they've needed him. We all wished he was in the last few games, right?
Yeah. Listen, if he played this last week, and we'll go the last 4 games: Minnesota, San Antonio, Golden State, Indiana. And I don't know about San Antonio because that was such a funky game that no one played in. But those other 3 playoff teams you mentioned, Murray plays in those games and he plays, and he's right, he's healthy. I think you win all 3 of those games. Now what? Now you're at 50 wins. You're 50-29 team with 3 games to low. You're probably solid in the 3rd place. Now what? Well, according to the, to Josh, they were going to make moves anyway this offseason, but now it sure gets a lot harder at 50-29, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, real quick, Peter says, does Adelman have a realistic chance of becoming the next head coach? Hey, look, whatever it's worth, Peter, we read some lines. We read some lines from, I don't remember what book service it was. Adelman was the favorite to be the coach. Now, look, if they go get a Bob Myers or someone else that's GM, I'd assume he gets to pick his coach. So who knows? I think it's too early to know.
Yeah.
But you said it earlier, Scotty. Maybe repeat it since we got such a big audience right now. You did say Adelman was probably going to leave to be a head coach this offseason anyway. So
Adelman will be a head coach in this league sooner rather than later. And that might be also why you pushed the decision a little quicker. Let's see. Hey, now he's coming in, and it's a crappy time. Listen, because I know Dave appreciates and respects Michael Malone. He's the guy that brought him over here. Let him control the offense. Let him coach. Let him really. I mean, if you've ever been able to go to a Nuggets practice, he coaches when he's on the floor. So I know there's a loyalty to Michael that's probably just absolutely killing him. But then there's a great opportunity, right? I think he's well respected in the league. So now, if you're going to change, this thing's going to be changed anyway. And this guy's going to be a hot commodity. Now, guess what? You got 3 games. Say the Nuggets win all 3 of these games coming up. Look good doing it. And then you go in and you win the first round. And then the second round, maybe you win or at least go to a 7 games. You're not going to have home court. Do you not sit there and got to at least think, well, God dang, this guy got him playing. They ain't been playing like this all year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I would also say I also want the GM to know you got to pick your coach. We're not going to be in your way.
Dude, but you know what? He goes out and puts on a little run. The Nuggets go on a little bit of run under David Adelman. Then guess what? There's probably going to be a bidding war. If we're being
well, that's true.
Probably going to be somebody going, hey, let's come up here.
Let me ask you.
Who knows, man? This might be so broken right now, more broken than we even realize. And it ain't going to matter if Red Auerbach rolls up out of his grave and brings Bill Russell with him, and his grave too, that even matter.
Listen, by the way, Avs just tied the game up. You know why? Shot. Finally punched a rebound home. Just saying.
Well,
just saying.
I think we're going to win 4-2.
It's 2-2 now. Real quick, would you talk to Mike Nori? Mike Nori was on that list. Now, he was further down. They had a few assistants on there, but would you talk to Mike Nori, who's an assistant with the Wolves now? He took over when Chris Finch hurt his leg or whatever and had to not, walk around so much. Is he an interesting name? Because I believe they've said that Jokic likes Nori?
They have a relationship, and he was here. He was with Malone in Sacramento, and he was with Mike here the first 3 or 4 years. Took a higher paying job in Minnesota. You got to talk to him. That's for sure. It'd be worth talking to him. I don't know who all be on that list. That's what's going to be interesting. I would assume Mike Brown made that list. Chauncey Billups would be an interesting
Mike
list.
Brown was not on that list. And you know what? Neither was Chauncey. We would have texted her to talk about Chauncey. What is Chauncey's deal in Portland? Is he going to be done or what?
Well, I think it's the last year of his deal. And they had a run for the playoffs. Listen, they went young. I think they're the second or third youngest team in the league. They got young stars, and they play hard. But that may not be good enough for them. But that'd be an interesting, and people may not get too excited other than it's Chauncey coming back home. But it'd sure be interesting. That'd be an interesting name for me.
I'm with you. I would agree. Now sometimes that's hard, bringing the hometown kid home. But I'm with you. I wouldn't be opposed to it. All right. We've done an hour. My man, you've done nothing but talk about this, I think, for 7 straight, it seems like. By the way, go ahead.
I said since noon.
What we want everybody, because we got so many new listeners here, new viewers here. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube because most of the comments came from YouTube. So please subscribe. You probably already are. Tell your friends too. Scotty and I do this every week, Tuesday, usually between 8 and 9. We try to make it a Tuesday. Last week, there just was too much going on. You and I could not get it done. The games are weird. So that's why we missed last week. But
I got to study. I'm the big play-by-play guy.
Well, I did the Mammoth Tuesday. Yeah, I did the Mammoth Wednesday.
I know, and you had to study Tuesday.
No, Tuesday we had the double up. We had the double up games or something. I don't remember. No, yeah, remember you had they lost to the damn Wolves a week ago. The damn game we keep talking about was a week ago. Oh, hey, Andy's screwing me. No, you're not around.
Oh, that was Thursday night we could. Andy, I gotta walk my dog.
Yeah, because Thursday night I'm done doing damn podcasts. How about that? I do one Tuesday, Wednesday. Sanford wanted to do a draft once. We're doing for 3 weeks. We got Peyton involved. I'm all podcasted out. Who am I, D-Mac? I ain't doing 15 a day. Damn. Yeah, I want you. You know what? I want you to start doing a from the throne podcast. I just want you on this channel. You wake up, handle your morning business, and preach to everybody as you get it done.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
Just keep it a very quiet mic. Yes.
By the way, again, if anybody wants to sponsor, Pins and Aces, outstanding stuff. Good. If I got a little chilly in the room, I got a little hoodie in here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No topless shots. No, no. Hey, no shut bull chats, says Scott S. There you go. The bull chat with you. You can send Scott preaching from the porcelain throne. How about that? That's our guy Trent.
Preaching on porcelain.
Yeah.
It's like a 15-minute day preach.
Hey, listen, you can preach from the porcelain throne. Just don't let any of the congregation get heard from, if you know what I mean.
No. Oh, there the kids are swimming.
All right. And with that, we bid you all good night. In about an hour's time or so, you'll probably hear from Raj and Spring. Good night, all. We'll talk to you next week? Hold on real quick. Tuesday? Hopefully they're not playing next week because they win these 3 damn games, right?
Their last game is Sunday at 1:30. And then, well,
for now,
they could have a playing game.
For now.
Wednesday.
Oh, my God.
Let's hope not.
Okay, Tuesday, we're planning on doing it, folks. Good night, all.
Good night.